What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. Today I'm partnering up with Mooncat to show you their Welcome to Paradise collection. Now before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Mooncat before, they are a nail polish brand that is based in the US and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So this is a highly anticipated collection. They just released it. It's called Welcome to Paradise, and it's this sort of dystopian cyberpunk matrix themed vibe. We've got 10 different polishes with a ton of different formulas. So everything from magnetic to multichrome to thermal color changing and even linear holo. And actually we do have a new formula from Mooncat. We've got these metallic linear holo polishes, and let me tell you, they are very deceiving in the bottle. They seem deceptively simple, so just wait until you see the swatches. But yeah, one thing that really intrigued me about this collection, aside from the theme of course, because I'm very much into this sort of vibe, one thing that I heard about this collection is that they're supposed to be very opaque polishes, specifically the magnetics, which I tend to wear in 3 coats, so I was really curious to see how those would apply. So let me show you the swatches of them first, then we can get into pricing, availability, my thoughts, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Mooncat base coat, and I'm going to start off with the metallic linear holo polishes because I'm not gonna lie, they seemed a little basic in the bottle, but once I started applying them I was like, oh okay, I get it now. And this first one is called Cyborg Tears. You can see even just in the first coat it had incredible opacity. I honestly could get away with just wearing this in 1 coat, but I ended up applying a second just to show you. It's this really intense silvery, slightly blue tinged metallic color, and then we have this linear holo throughout. You can especially see it where the camera is out of focus around my cuticle area, but it is just so intense. So you can almost see both lightings in this one shot. You can see direct lighting has all of that holographic goodness, and then indirect lighting has that more silvery blue kind of color. So either way you're getting a fun specialty finish, but I personally think this one is just stunning. I don't even think my camera did this justice. Then we have the shade Ego Stroker 9000, and this one is what I would describe as a magenta metallic linear holo. And again, this one was just so cool to me and super opaque. Again, 1 coat, full coverage here, but I am applying a second just to show you. And this one, I feel like it's harder to see the holo on camera, but it really did look so stunning. It had this almost bluish tinge to it, and it had such a gorgeous sparkle, but I also just love this color with indirect lighting. I might be biased because it pretty much exactly matches my hair color right now, but I think this is stunning. So really love this one as well. And then we have the third metallic linear holo. This one is called Nightmode, and this one is a purple blue kind of base color. So it's kind of an indigo, but I feel like it definitely leans more on the blue side. And then we have the holo pigment in there, which makes it look a little bit lighter and almost more silvery, but it's still super intense. Again, you can see all of that holographic goodness around the cuticle area because that's where it's like out of focus on my camera. But again, such a stunning base color, and I really appreciate that they did high quality colors because sometimes colors can look a little dull when they're holographic but they're in indirect lighting. So I think these are really gorgeous, but I do honestly think that the opacity is what makes these so special. Next up we have the shade Nirvana Pro X, and this one is a multichrome flaky polish. So the colors in here shift from pink into green. We have a variety of different sizes of multichrome flakes, and this one is actually advertised as being a full coverage polish. Now for this I ended up doing 3 coats just to get full coverage and show you what that looked like, and I have to say I was impressed with the coverage here. I feel like it didn't give me any patchiness just because there's so much variety in the size of the flakes in here that it does cover up any patchy areas really nicely. But I also feel like this polish would excel as a topper. So here's what it looks like over night mode. I thought it was just really cool. I'm actually wearing it over another color in the collection right now and in the intro and outro of this video, but I will show you that at the end because it's kind of a spoiler for the last polish in the collection. So now moving on to Meowtek Industries. This is actually a full coverage multi-chrome polish, and this one is such a beautiful rainbow of colors. Primarily the shades that I see are this indigo into blue into green when I'm looking at it head on, but this one also has a lot of really intense pink and purple and and even a little bit of like a reddish vibe in some areas, but you can really see just so many colors at certain angles. And I think this one is so incredible. It has this beautiful blackened base to it, and it gave me perfect opacity in 2 coats. And then we have the magnetic polishes. This first one is called 404 Soul Not Found, and in the bottle this actually looked very similar to Meowtek Industries, but on application you can see it's actually pretty different. So Meowtek Industries had more of that bluish into green tone, whereas this one primarily has a warmer purple into a teal kind of color, and then in the middle you can still see that gorgeous blue kind of shade. So this one was so intensely opaque, I ended up actually magnetizing the second coat, which if you know me, you know that that is very unusual for me. I usually like to do magnetic polishes 2 coats and then a 3rd coat to magnetize, but this was just so impressively opaque, so I ended up doing the velvet style in just 2, and I think it looks super gorgeous and dimensional this way. Of course, with multi-chromatic shades like this, I'm always so excited to try them in the cat eye style as well, because they always end up looking so cosmic to me, and this one is no exception. It looked absolutely stunning. We have this gorgeous intense black background, and then we have this beautiful shifty purple to teal Cosmo looking vibe in the center, and it's just so dimensional and beautiful. Then we have the shade Epilogue to Utopia, and this is another multi-chrome magnetic polish. Again, super opaque, so I ended up actually magnetizing that second coat, and this one is a really purple and blue focused color. So the main colors that I'm seeing is this warm purple into a cooler toned purple into this really intense blue shade, and this is so stunning. I love this kind of multi-chrome color, and what's really cool about it is that at extreme angles you can actually see this almost like reddish orangey kind of color, and I think that's absolutely gorgeous. I feel like I'm struggling so hard to decide whether I prefer these ones in the velvet style or the cat eye style, because I think that so much of that color just comes alive in the velvet style, but then once I magnetize them and I see how intensely black that base color becomes and just how sharp that line of magnetic pigment is, I just love it so much. So I don't know, I mean, I'm gonna have to wear it both ways, but I just love these magnetized. They're so gorgeous. Then we have the next multi-chrome magnetic. This one is called Mutiny, and this one is a really intense green color. So we actually have this sort of teal base instead of the blackened base that the first 2 had, and then we have a shifty green that goes from sort of a lime color into a more foresty green and then into an even deeper kind of emerald color, and this is another absolutely stunning one. I feel like it's definitely giving Matrix vibes to me. It's also giving like a monster eye. Just imagine this with like the little cat eye slit on it. I think would be so cool. Not the cat eye magnet, but just like a cat eye actually. Does that make sense? I don't know. I just thought this was really gorgeous. And then once again, magnetizing this one just came out so beautiful. A little bit different of a vibe than the first 2 because we're looking at more of that teal into green kind of color here, and especially with that base, it's definitely still cosmic to me, but this almost feels a little bit more sci-fi kind of vibes to me, which I really love. And then we have the final magnetic of the collection. This one is called Port 6666. Almost forgot a 6 there. So this one I would actually say is a little bit different from the rest of the multi-chrome magnetics. We still have a really beautiful deep base. This time it's sort of like a navy, almost black kind of color, and then we have this intense multi-chromatic purple into fuchsia into pink where all of that pigment is, and it is so gorgeous. But this one I did find to be slightly more sheer, so I ended up doing what I usually do, which is apply 2 coats for coverage and then magnetize the 3rd. And what a beautiful color. If you know me, you know I love purple, and I tend to be more of a cool toned purple person, but I really love that contrast between cool and warm tones, and I think this contrast between really cool purple and really warm purple at the same time is just absolutely stunning. So loved this one in the velvet style. When I did it in the cat eye style, I was just as impressed. I felt like that super deep base really brought out how intense the color of the purple and pink were in there, and again, just a beautiful cosmic vibe. Can't get over this color scheme. I love everything about it. And then the final shade of the collection is this one, Moral Decay, and this one is a thermal color changing polish, so depending on the temperature it actually does change color, and you can see even just on application it changes is as I'm applying it. So inside the bottle, I guess it was a little bit cold. On my nails, it started warming up immediately. And because my nails are on the longer side right now, it actually created a natural little gradient French manicure kind of vibe. So you can see both of the colors, but basically this one is a slate, almost navy blue when it's in its cold state. And then in its warm state, it becomes a lighter kind of teal shade. And this one also intensely opaque. This is actually just 2 coats for coverage. Normally with thermal polishes, I do like to do a 3rd coat just to make sure that it's fully opaque in its light state, but I was just really impressed with this one. This is actually what I'm wearing as a base on my nails right now, and then I'm wearing Nirvana Pro X over it, so of course I have to show you a little swatch of that too. So here's what that looks like. I feel like this is just such an intense combination of colors that you wouldn't really expect to see together, but I honestly love it. Just like the combo of the pink, the green, the dark teal, the light teal, and just the way that it kind of shifts around is so fun. I've been watching my nails nonstop and I don't know, I just really like it. So wanted to show you this final little swatch. I know Nirvana Pro X is supposed to be worn on its own, but I do really think it's a perfect topper. So here is the full color collection together. I tried to organize the swatches so that you could see the different categories. So the top row is the metallic linear hollows. The middle row is the various finishes. So we have the thermal, the full multichrome polish, and then we have the multichrome flakies, and then the bottom 4 are the magnetic polishes. And I honestly love all of these. I was really impressed with the formulas here. I thought they were just so opaque, so creamy, really easy to use. They weren't thick at all. They were very beginner friendly, even though they were super opaque. And I feel like this is just such a unique spin on a summer collection. I definitely wouldn't have expected these colors, but I feel like it's just a really interesting twist of like deep bases with bright, intense colors within. So it kind of reminds me of neon signs, of like that cyberpunk sort of vibe, because we have this grungy, gritty sort of darkness, and then we have the intense colors within. So you can see it in the magnetic shades. You can see it when the light hits the multichromes, and then the same thing with the linear hollows. When the light hits them, you can just see a whole rainbow, and I think that's just so fun. And of course, Mooncat makes such incredible reactive thermal polishes, so I always love them. As soon as I get one, I always have to wear it immediately because I just think that they're so impressive and distracting on my nails. But yeah, as you can see, I loved these, so let's talk about them more. So that is the collection, and as you can see, I love these. I feel like I've just been a broken record recently, but this is the exact color scheme that I live for. I love purples, I love greens, I love blues, I love pink vibes, and clearly the theme speaks to my soul. I love this vibe. I feel like I've been so into this sort of look lately, and this sort of like dystopian future sort of situation. I feel like it's also actually kind of a good way to describe what I've been trying to redo my guest room to be like if you watch my vlog channel. But yeah, as you can see, I'm really into it. But aside from the theme, I was actually really impressed with these colors. The metallic linear hollows, I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect too much from those. I thought that they were gonna be kind of like simple and basic, and I ended up being so impressed with them. I thought they were absolutely stunning, especially with direct lighting, and I don't even think that my camera did them justice. I think they're actually way prettier with direct lighting in person. So yeah, definitely into that. It also speaks to my magnetic loving soul right now, and I think the colors are just so stunning and really impressively opaque. So as far as pricing and availability goes, these polishes actually vary based on the finish. They do come in the usual Mooncat 12 milliliter bottles, and they do feature a wide flat brush with a rounded tip, so application super easy. And like I said, based on the formula, the price does vary, so it's between $16 and $18 USD each. You can also get the full set for a discounted rate of $149 USD, and that's all 10 polishes. But yeah, like I keep saying, I totally love these. I feel like I'm going to wear them so much, and I love that they're this sort of dark, grungier kind of vibe rather than just the simple neons that I feel like we've been getting a lot of this season. Not to say that I don't love those, but I feel like this is such a darker, grittier take on it, and I think that's just so fun. So I think they did an incredible job here. I totally love it, and because they are those darker colors, they are going to carry me through the entire year. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts. So what do you think of this collection? Are you planning on picking any of these up? Which is your favorite? Leave it all in the comments. We can chat about it. If you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I love you all, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. I came up with a would you rather question that's probably going to be a little bit confusing. So, would you rather live in a sci-fi world or in a fantasy world? And I feel like it can kind of be tricky to decide what falls under what category, but in my mind, the easiest distinction is like sci-fi, everything is explained by science, and fantasy, everything is explained by magic. You can have similar things in them, but the science fiction version would be like more science and have explanations for things, whereas fantasy is more just like magic and it doesn't necessarily need an explanation. It's just the way that the world is. And I feel like as a person who lives pretty exclusively in fantasy books, like I love reading fantasy, I find myself on the opposite side. I think I would rather live in a science fiction world just because I like having explanations for things in real life. Don't get me wrong, I think fantasy would probably be more fun because I feel like it would have like dragons and talking animals and stuff, but science fiction would give me the explanations that I need. I feel like I need to know why things are the way that they are. And also, I feel like weirdly enough, even though I love fantasy books and I don't really read that much science fiction, I feel like I don't really watch that much fantasy movies. I watch way more science fiction movies for that exact same reason. So yeah, I feel like I'm probably the outlier on this. I have a feeling that most of you are going to pick fantasy, but let me know in the comments. I think that this cyberpunk sort of vibe, this falls under science fiction to me. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. We can chat about it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!